WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios. What a move! Here's Josh Hennig.
Thursday edition of Game Night and another Sixers loss. Talk about that and more here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Yes, Sixers lose game 2. Not that it's particularly surprising, but we'll also break down all the details coming up in 20 minutes, a little less than 20 minutes. Keith Pompey, Sixers beat writer for the Philadelphia Inquirer, joins us coming up tonight on Game Night. Sixers game 3 tomorrow night. You hear the action 7 p.m. right here on 97.3 ESPN. Tom McGinnis on the call. You know, last night's game, and we'll get your reaction as well at 609-403-0973. You know, to me, last night's game was a very, very blatant example of what we've already seen in these NBA playoffs. There were two things that were against the Sixers the whole time. There were two things that, no matter what, was an uphill battle for them. And one was there not being a Joel Embiid out there. And, you know, it's not that you go into the game expecting to lose, but you got to go into the game expecting you're going to find a way to win at least. And it really felt like that this team just gave up on themselves almost. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm the smartest guy in the room, because I'm not, okay? You know, basketball wasn't my number one or number two sport growing up. Honestly, at this point, it might not even be even now. But you know, when you watch a game, there's two things that always stand out to me. One is I don't need the broadcaster to tell me what I already know. And number two, I don't need the coach to tell me that something happened that didn't happen during the game. And I understand when Doc Rivers says after the game that the guys are really trying hard. But trying hard is not the same as executing. Okay? I saw a team now for 2 straight games that let the Miami Heat defense dictate to them what they were going to say and do. A Miami Heat defense that basically fronted them the entire game, and frankly, the Sixers barely ran any pick and roll, any screens, anything to get their guys open. It was way too much ISO ball for my taste. And I got to tell you folks out there, if I got to hear one more person on a television network, whether it's NBA TV or TNT or ESPN or Fox Sports, tell me about fill in the blanks basketball IQ, I'm going to scream. I am going to just scream a blood-curdling cry. I'm so tired of hearing about people's basketball IQ. When it's obvious to everyone watching the game that you're not making the smart play. I don't care if Harden is hurt or not. I don't care if he's frustrated or not. I don't care if he's been partying all night in Miami or not. You're playing like somebody who is mentally an intermediate at basketball and not like a professional. I don't understand how in anyone's reality they don't see this. Am I the only person who sees a guy who looks like he has no clue what he's doing half the time? This is now 2 straight games. Harden has practically disappeared in the second half. And yet I gotta hear fill in the blank guy who supposedly knows basketball tell me, the viewer, that James Harden has a good basketball IQ or a high basketball IQ, or how smart he is and how NBA players are so smart and they're going to figure it out. Well, the Sixers haven't figured out for 2 games the most basic fundamental of basketball. Run the offense. If I had $1 for every suicide drill I had to run on the basketball court in my lifetime because somebody on my team didn't run the offense, I'd be a millionaire by now. But apparently, James Harden and the Sixers, nobody on that team has ever had to run suicides because they ever didn't run the play properly. It blows my mind that a professional basketball player doesn't realize, I'm not getting open shots. Maybe I need a screen. Maybe I need a pick. Maybe we need to change the offensive sets we're running. Maybe the Miami Heat got us figured out. So either Doc is the most boring person in timeouts and the players are ignoring him, or the players in the course of the game are too dense to do the common sense right thing. Whatever explanation you want to go with, it's better than what I'm coming up with. Because when I see these guys make these overhead passes across the court, or Harden and Maxey just dribble, and not even try to make cuts and screens and movement. I mean, has anybody come? Am I the only person on the planet Earth who remembers the high post screen? You got Paul Reed, you got Tobias Harris, you got George Niang, you got everybody and their cousin who's about 6'8", 6'9", 6'10". You're telling me that they can't start in the post, roll to the high post, foul line, set a screen, roll the basket, set a high screen, roll to the top of the key if you're George Niang. I don't think the Sixers even running an offense half the time. I think they're just standing around looking at each other like, well, what do we do now? I don't know. What do we do? I'll just dribble the ball more until we figure it out. And for goodness sake, you let Miami get set on defense every single time down the floor. This is the only point in time where I will give Mike D'Antoni credit. The 7-second or less offensive concept with the Phoenix Suns would help the Sixers right now. Because when you got a lineup that's got Harden, Maxey, Green, Harris, and Paul Reed, for example, just run up the court. Just go full speed ahead. What do you have to lose? Don't let them get into their defensive set. Don't let them find their defensive footing every single time. It's simple, fundamental basketball stuff that either this entire team is ignorant of, or the coaching staff is telling them what to do and they're purposely ignoring them. Either answer is a bad situation to be in. And now Joel Embiid is a potential. He doesn't even play in game 3. So now you can potentially go down 3-0 in this series. And I got to hear about how James Harden is washed up. The problem isn't James Harden is washed up. The problem is James Harden's brain isn't working. I don't care how injured you are, how slowed up you are. Have you lost a first? Common sense basketball stuff. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Stop trying to outthink the room. Just do the little things. Pick and rolls, high screens. Don't let Miami set their defense. Pass the ball. Move the ball. cuts, movement, run the offense. Because obviously just standing and shooting isn't working. You're not hitting the threes. Sixers game 3 tomorrow night. Here on 97.3 ESPN. Tom McGinnis on the call. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Keith Pompey, Sixers beat writer for the Philadelphia Inquirer, joins us coming up in less than 10 minutes from now. The other part of the problem here is you look at the other series in the NBA playoffs, like the Mavs-Suns series last night. The Mavericks obviously were having trouble running their offense. Now, part of it was because the Suns did do a good job of switching on defense. But you have a situation where you have Luka Doncic, and you're not running an offense around him. You're just hoping Luka bails you out. It's a big reason why they lost the game last night. You spent part of this postseason, if you're the Mavs, leaning on Jalen Brunson and leaning on Spencer Dinwiddie, and you're not getting those guys involved in the offense. You're not getting them enough touches, not enough looks. Look at the series between Memphis and Golden State. Those are two teams that are built completely differently. Memphis is built to win despite what John Morant does. When John Morant plays great like he did in Game 2, Memphis is borderline unstoppable. But Memphis has been winning this year without him at times as well. On the flip side, the Warriors are the opposite. Without Draymond and without Steph, the Warriors don't have the balance to their basketball team on offense or defense to play consistent, effective basketball. Look at the Bucks-Celtics series. Game 1, Bucks win because even when Giannis wasn't hitting his shots, the team played well around him. Giannis gets shut down in Game 2. The team doesn't play well around him. They lose to the Celtics. There's a common thread here. The teams whose supporting cast members are showing up are the teams that are winning. And the teams whose stars are showing out are the teams that are winning. It's not a complicated formula, folks. Look, you got to give these teams a lot of credit that you have built your teams and gotten this far in the postseason. And a team like Miami is showing you that without arguably their second or third best player on their team, in Kyle Lowry, they have the depth to still win games because their supporting cast, like Tyler Hero, is putting up big numbers. And a team like Milwaukee, they need more from their supporting cast going home. By the way, Mike Gill's right. The fact that the NBA has no games on tonight is an embarrassment. This is where the NBA loses juice. You got to have a game on every night. You never want to take yourself out of the public eye. The NBA has built its 24/7, 365 reputation, right? They have built this basically this marketing powerhouse based on the fact that the NBA, are always in the news. They're always being talked about. And the biggest news stories of today, you know what they are? It's Ben Simmons got back surgery and Joel Embiid has been ruled out for tomorrow. And by the way, if you saw the social media post of Ben Simmons, I've never seen a person who had back surgery immediately in a car afterwards, waving at the camera saying, "Hey guys, I had back surgery." I'm sorry, I have trouble sometimes sitting in my car because my back hurts. And I didn't even have back surgery. Ben Simmons supposedly went under the knife and all of a sudden in the car waving at the social media camera. Just perfectly fine. I mean, are we really sure this guy had back surgery? I know. he had surgery. I'm not doubting that. But I'm just saying this whole situation with Ben Simmons is the most peculiar, odd, and unbelievable thing I've ever seen. I can't believe anything this guy says or does anymore. He's the most strange individual I've ever seen try to be a star in a sport in my life. He wants attention, but he doesn't want attention. He wants to play, but he doesn't want to play. His back hurts, but then it doesn't hurt, then it hurts again, then he has surgery. Is Ben Simmons the boy that cried wolf too many times? Maybe. I don't know. All right, I'll talk more Sixers coming up next. Keith Pompey with the Philadelphia Inquirer. Sixers beat writer next right here on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. We'll check up with your text messages a little bit later in the show at 609-403-0973 is the text board.
Wake up with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Look, physically, he is not the same James Harden from multiple years ago. And by the way, when they did target the right players for him to attack, Tyler Hero or Max Strus, he still couldn't blow by them. He took step-back threes.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Listen weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Spring into savings all month and spring out of that car you hate at Matt Blatt Kia in Egg Harbor Township or Toms River. We'll take any trade, any make, any condition, even if you're stuck in a loan or lease. Matt Blatt Kia can get you released. Do you have a job? Do you clear $350 per week? You could be approved with 0 down and low interest rate financing on every clearly marked new Kia in stock. And remember, we have new Kias arriving daily. Just because you don't see it on the lot doesn't mean you can't be driving your new Kia home tomorrow. So bring any trade to Matt Blatt Kia, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. And don't forget, you can't make a mistake with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
Offers with approved credit through Kia Motors Finance. Not all will qualify. Go to mattblattkiamj.com for complete details. Expires 5/8/2022. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township. And now on Route 37 in Toms River.
DQ presents. Picture this. You stand before the awe-inspiring new signature stack burger menu at DQ and your mouth wonders, where have you been all my life? That's 5 taste bud tempting cheeseburgers with 100% real seasoned beef. You peek at the loaded A1 stack burger with 2 premium sauces. Then the flamethrower stack burger with tongue-tingling jalapeno bacon. Then you realize moments like these are exactly why we have the DQ signature stack burger menu. DQ. Happy tastes good. Get it delivered at DQ.com.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Hustle up. We've got 8 more floors to go before lunch.
Sarusha's window washing business is reaching new heights.
Wipe, and let's roll.
They need more certified cleaners to keep online reviews crystal clear.
Team, I know we're hustling, but watch for streaks. Candace, can you give me a hand over here?
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Jamie's log. Progressive. The Harrington's backyard. Day 11, 4:43 a.m. The tent I set up in the Harrington's backyard to prove Progressive has 24/7 protection has a rip in it. But a little rain won't stop me. Mrs. Harrington said she totally understands 24/7 protection means 24/7. Gonna stay a few more days to make sure. It's hailing now. That's fun.
Progressive doesn't just offer a great price when you bundle home and auto. We offer round-the-clock protection. Just not literally from Jamie.
Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers, and subject to policy terms. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
A new fusion of flavor, friendly competition, and fiery foods. That's the Chili Knockout and Spicy Food Fest, Saturday, May 21st. Orange Loop Arena, New York Avenue in Atlantic City. It's an opportunity for culinary discovery. Chili Knockout is a food festival devoted to exploring all things flavorful and spicy. It's an interactive, you be the judge, chili cook-off, and a day out with friends and family, supporting this seaside community culinary scene. It's a kickoff to spring like no other. Tickets are available now at chilliknockout.com. Produced by Good Time Tricycle.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
We'll get to your guys' thoughts and comments in just a bit on the text board at 609-403-0973. You also get DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. But as promised, before we get to any of that, joining us right now on the show, talk more about the Sixers. He is Philadelphia Inquirer Sixers beat writer, and he's the co-host of the Locked On 76ers podcast. Keith Pompey rejoins the show here on 97.3 ESPN. Keith, how you doing today?
Hey, what's up, man? How you been?
I'm doing pretty good, and I'm doing better than the Sixers. Okay, I mean, let's be realistic, right? You go to Miami, and I don't think anyone expected them to go up 2-0 down there, but it just feels deflating when you lose 2 games the way that they did.
Mm-hmm.
What is your perspective on this team coming out of Miami? Like, the fan base is deflated, but Keith, is the team deflated?
Not really. I mean, I think there are some people who were starting to creep in, like, whoa, I think we could be in trouble. But when you look at it, Miami is the number 1 seed. The 76ers are looking at it as if they went there in like a hostile environment, so to speak. And Miami basically was supposed to win those 2 games. And if Miami wins game 3, then maybe you may say, uh-oh. But also, I think the one thing is the Sixers are walking away from this saying we had 2 missed opportunities. And I think, when you factor in that they were out-rebounded by 20 rebounds combined, the fact that I believe they only made 14 of 64 three-point attempts in the 2 games. So they're like, look, if we would have made some shots and we had some pretty good open looks, it could be a different series. So it's like, while they're disappointed and they know they blew opportunities, they feel like, maybe we can get a couple wins, at home. Now, I think personally that it's not over. Like, the fat lady hasn't started singing yet, but I don't expect them to win, if that makes sense. Like, I expect them to probably win a game, split at home, and possibly lose in 5 or 6. But I don't see them winning this, especially if Joel Embiid doesn't come back.
We'll get to Embiid in a minute, Keith, but I want to ask you a little more about games 1 and games 2 here, because to me, one of the things I've noticed, and again, I'm watching on TV, all I got is a clicker in my hand, and I'm pressing rewind. Sometimes I'm not, in the game in the moment. I'm not breaking it down like a coach is. But one of the things that frustrates me is, in game 1, you had an opportunity to maybe win that game 1, and then you got sloppy in the second half. And then last night in the second half as well, it just seemed like you see guys throwing passes over their head, almost no screens, no picks. And it's almost like the team, it's almost like they forget fundamental basketball at times in the second half of these games. And, for a viewer watching the game, and I see the fan comments, it's frustrating because this team can be better than they're playing.
True. But when you look at this roster, right, you say to yourself, is James, and this isn't a knock against anyone, but you say to yourself, is James Harden a real point guard, or is he a 2 guard who can handle the ball a little something, right? Who's a scorer? Is Tyrese Maxey that, So, yes, James is by far the best point guard that they have, but he's really more or less a 2 guard who's dribbling. So I think that when we see a lot of these turnovers and these passes, a lot of times, and some of it's not him all the time, But I think it goes to prove that sometimes you need a traditional point guard to steady the team to get people in the right spots. Now, again, he is by far the best person with that. But also, when you look at the Sixers roster, they don't have a lot of complete players, right? So that's why you're going to see a lot of these mistakes. Like, there are certain guys who can just shoot, but they can't dribble. You know what I mean? There are certain guys who can defend, but they can't shoot. They can't dribble. So it's like, I feel like with Joel Embiid out there, guys are kind of sort of getting exposed because he's not there to erase the mistakes. And secondly, in the playoffs, they got to do a little bit more, and they're doing things outside their comfort zone. And let's face it, they've been turning the ball over all year. It's been off and on. But right now, I think that when you play a team like Miami that's extremely deeper, in the second half, they're able to step up the tempo, so to speak, where the Sixers are getting tired and they're just making mistakes left and right.
You mentioned about the roster and not having that many complete players. Well, there are people who might be listening to us right now who might be sitting in their car, shaking their fist at the radio and saying, Keith, it's because Morey didn't build the roster right. You got that person sitting out there who's going to say that. But is that fair? Did Morey not build the roster right, or is the roster that was built just not playing up to their potential right now?
I think there's two things that we have right now. I feel like, when you look at it, when Morey came on board, I mean, you had Ben Simmons, you had Tobias Harris, you had Joel Embiid, three guys who took up the majority of the cap space. So a lot of these guys that you go out there and you try to get, if you want to be fair, a lot of the guys that you want to go out there and get who are more complete players are going to cost you more. It's going to be outside of your price range. I mean, there's a reason why they had to bring Danny Green back, this year. And then you look at a guy like George Niang, they gave him a mid-level exception, so to speak. So it's like they don't really can afford to go out and get these guys because they got three max level players. Now they have three with Harden. So, but you can make an argument there were certain guys who, like, maybe in the buyout market, or the guys they possibly could have traded for who could have been more complete. Now, they wouldn't have been the primary piece, but they would have been something like bringing in, like how, for instance, you got James Harden, but then you also got Paul Millsap. You know what I mean? They could have had some guys like that. But I think that if we want to be 100% honest, the free agents that they probably wanted to go out and get, they couldn't afford to go get them because of cap space and stuff like that.
Keith Pompey covers the 76ers for the Philadelphia Inquirer, joining us right here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM. At Pompey on Sixers. Give him a follow there on Twitter. Keith, let's get into the Joel Embiid stuff. Now, I'm going to condense what I understand it as, and you can clean it up for me, okay? So from what I understand, when the Sixers ruled Embiid out for Game 3, it was because they have to put something on the NBA injury report by a certain deadline. So is that kind of what we're looking at now? Basically, like, Embiid still could play tomorrow, but this was more of like a paperwork formality?
Well, yeah, basically what happened is his status for right now. So what you have to do is, which means is there's typically 4 steps that you have to go through, right? So he hasn't yet to complete all 4 steps. Now, it maybe seems like he could be at step number 3. He cleared that. And then tomorrow he can clear another one, or maybe, he could clear the last one tomorrow. Okay. But the thing is, what happens is if you're not 100% cleared on protocol, they have to list you out when the deadline to list people is at 5:00. So as of 5:00 Thursday, Joel Embiid is out. But that does not mean that he can't do something else tomorrow that will clear him. So he can get up in the morning, do some things, whatever, go through the next step, and then he could be cleared. But as of today, he has not completed protocol. So you have to deem him out because he hasn't completed protocol yet.
On the TV broadcast side last night, Keith, Chris Haynes was explaining that it wasn't just until yesterday that Embiid could actually literally look at his phone because the brightness was bothering him. Now, Doc today told you guys that, the idea is they'll see how he is today and tomorrow morning. And from what I understand, I never had a concussion myself, but I've been told by a lot of people that for a lot of these situations, how you feel the next morning is a very indicative of how it goes the rest of the day. So I got a feeling, Keith, that we literally might not know until tomorrow afternoon what's going on.
Yeah, probably. And the one thing that, Chris Haynes, who's a great reporter, much respect for him. The one thing that alarmed me was with that report, because before we're hearing like everything is cool. And he said, he had a conversation with Embiid, who said yesterday was the first day. So like, if that's the case, then, or maybe they sped some stuff up. But if that's the case, you would think that, that would be one of the first stages, you know what I mean, to do certain things. But, that's kind of, to me, that's scary with the lights and all that other stuff that's going to go on tonight. That yesterday or 2 days ago was yesterday was, what was it? He said that was Tuesday. So that the fact that he said that is a little alarming to me. You know what I mean? Like, not just a little fearful for Joel.
If Joel does play tomorrow, I mean, how much can we really expect of him, Keith? I mean, you know how Joel is. He'll play through a half a broken body if they let him, right? That's how competitive he is. So even if Embiid is cleared and he wears the mask again, what's a fair expectation for Joel tomorrow night?
That's a tough question to answer because, I don't know really what he's dealing with in regards to how much pain he's in, condition wise, because he's been away for like a week now. The thing is, so I think it's kind of like a wait and see, one of those things. You put him out there if he can play, and then you just play close attention to him and see how long he can go. So that's a tough one. I mean, you would hope that he's able to give 100% and be out there for his normal minutes, but we have to be real. Like the last time he played was what was it, last Friday or last Saturday or something?
Last Thursday.
Last Thursday, last Thursday. So it will be over a week. And in the past, remember when he would take like 3-4 days off, he was always came back a little bit out of shape. Now his conditioning is a whole lot better now, but at the same time, it's like a week with really no activity. So it's hard to put a gauge on, what is he going to do now? If he plays, I can say his adrenaline, carrying him through a little bit, but, stamina is going to kick his tail after a while.
Keith, the other guy that everybody and their cousin keeps talking about is that James Harden guy. And I want to ask you, you've been watching him. You've been keeping an eye on him. A lot of people have a lot of opinions about, what James Harden is, who he is, how he's played. I know for me, I'm just frustrated with him at times because I feel like this guy does things at times that I know that he knows better kind of thing. Some people are saying that he's washed up. Some people are saying that he's not assertive enough. What is your perspective on who is James Harden right now in this series?
I think it's really, we'll learn. Well, right now, he's a guy who can't do the things that he did before. But he's a guy right now who's better utilized as a facilitator than a scorer, right? I don't know if it's the result of the hamstring or if it's just father time just, taking over right about now. But, unfortunately for him, it's like everything is being out. He's being out on the forefront. Everything, is being magnified just because Joel Embiid isn't playing. And when you have a guy of that caliber, you assume that he's going to be able to just come in, spread the floor, and take over and go to work. But it's just like his step back isn't as crisp. He can't get to the lane like he used to in regards to blowing by people. So he just looks like a guy who lost the step. But at the same time, you got to ask yourself, like, is it going to look this way next year? Because, it could just be the hamstring. But right now, he just hasn't lived up to what we thought he was going to be.
I also got to think, when he got smacked in that quad, that's the same leg as the hamstring, right? So, who knows? Maybe it's kind of the hamstring, maybe it's the quad as well. I mean, the human body is a very complex thing going on here. So, who knows, how one part might be affecting another part. Who knows? Maybe it's affecting his back or his ankle or his balance. Like, there's so many variables to go into this.
Yeah, it's a lot of variables. That's why it's one of those things we'll learn more next year. The problem is, though, like a year ago, he had hamstring problems with the Brooklyn Nets. Now, it was the other leg, but he had problems. So it seems like, these are nagging injuries that, he's been dealing with for a while. And as a player gets older, he's in his 30s now. It's one of those things where how long can he sustain that,
I don't know. Maybe he needs to do more some yoga or Pilates in the off season or something. I don't know. I don't know what Harden's off season regimen is. Maybe he needs to switch it up a little bit. This is now, you said 2 straight years. You said hamstring issues. Keith, one more if I let you go. Always appreciate you jumping on. Most people believe the Sixers aren't going to win this series anyway. You mentioned it's the number 1 seed. Miami's deep. I mean, Miami's won 2 games without Kyle Lowry here, and Lowry's got an NBA championship on his hand. You know what I mean? So it's not like Miami is even 100%. So assuming the Sixers don't win this series, what is the best case scenario to walk out of this series for this team?
You mean you're talking about in regards to games?
Yeah, just overall, like, when the series ends and assuming the Sixers lose, what's the best case scenario for them to walk out of here?
The best case scenario for me is like, they would love to go 7 if they had to lose, but I think best case scenario for them may be 6, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I don't see them winning the series. I just don't. They're not deep enough. I mean, the funny thing is a guy like Duncan Robinson has yet to play, and Duncan Robinson will probably be starting on the Sixers, right?
Right.
So, that's the thing that really stands out to me. I just feel like, and then you got Kyle Lowry coming back. Like, the Sixers, even with Joel Embiid, they were going to be in for a tough one. Now, again, I know they missed shots, but I just don't see them being able to beat this Miami Heat team. So I don't think they'll get swept. I think that it could be a gentleman's sweep where the Sixers could win 1 game, and then on Tuesday Tuesday in Miami, the Heat will close them out. But I think best case scenario is where the Sixers could, come back to Philadelphia and lose in 6 games.
He's Keith Pompey. Give him a follow on Twitter at Pompey on Sixer. Check out all of his coverage of the Philadelphia 76ers at the Philadelphia Inquirer. Make sure you download and subscribe to the Locked On 76ers podcast, where he co-hosts with Devon Gibbons. Keith, appreciate you jumping on today. Appreciate the insights, and hopefully the rest of this series is some smooth sailing for you. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Josh.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. With your guys' thoughts and comments on the other side, text board is open at 609-403-0973. You can also DM the show through 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Don't forget, Sixers basketball Game 3 tomorrow night, 7 p.m. on 97.3 ESPN FM. Game 4 Sunday night at 8 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Your home for the Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, the NFL playoffs, Super Bowl 56, the NCAA tournament, the NBA finals, and more here in South Jersey. Your home for all the sports is 97.3 ESPN FM.
It's Sixers playoff basketball tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McInnes, calling all the play-by-play action.
Into the lane action. What a layup. What a play! It's the playoff and a brilliant pass. Hard with a two-hand bounce pass.
It's Sixers Heat Game 3. Coverage begins at 7:30. Philadelphia 76ers playoff basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN FM.
Spring into savings all month and spring out of that car you hate at Matt Blatt Kia in Egg Harbor Township or Toms River. We'll take any trade, any make, any condition, even if you're stuck in a loan or lease. Matt Blatt Kia can get you released. Do you have a job? Do you clear $350 per week? You could be approved with 0 down and low interest rate financing on every clearly marked new Kia in stock. And remember, we have new Kias arriving daily. Just because you don't see it on the lot doesn't mean you can't be driving your new Kia home tomorrow. So bring any trade to Matt Blatt Kia, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. And don't forget, you can't make a mistake with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
Offers with approved credit through Kia Motors Finance. Not all will qualify. Go to mattblattkiamj.com for complete details. Expires 5/8/2022. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township. And now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Welcome back to the quickest podcast ever, brought to you by Kohl's.
Today's topic, deals on Mother's Day gifts. Moms are the best and deserve the best, which is why I went to Kohl's and got Nike tees for under $30, jewelry for just $19.99, and slippers for under $17.
Leave it to you to find all the savings.
What can I say? Like mother, like daughter. Did I mention you can get an extra 15% off or even more with a Kohl's card?
Your mom would be so proud.
Select styles, Nike sale ends May 8th. Coupons do not apply. 15% off ends May 15th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
O'Reilly. If your wiper blades are smearing and streaking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts to save $8 instantly on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Our professional parts people will even install them for you for free. Improve visibility and save money with Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts or shop online at O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
There's nothing like hearing the songs you love on local radio with no subscriptions and no monthly fees. But there's a new bill in Congress that could stop the music. If passed, this bill would tax your local radio station simply to play the music you love. Text LOCAL to 52886 and ask Congress to support local radio stations. Help us keep you connected to the music, local news, weather, and traffic that you need each day. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get access. Well, not anymore, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide with deals like our Silver Unlimited plan for just $45 a month and no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for $249, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Mother's Day is right around the corner, and DoorDash has the gifts mom wants. Schedule a flower delivery or order sweet treats for all the moms in your life. With dozens of local shops and national favorites, there are plenty of options for you to choose. Download the app or visit DoorDash.com and use promo code ORDER22 for 50% off your first order of $15 or more, up to a $12 value. That's promo code ORDER22 for 50% off your first order up to a $12 value. Limited time offer.
We get it. You're not going to work just anywhere. You're smart, you're ambitious, and you want to help others. You want a place where you can thrive, feel fulfilled, and have an opportunity for growth, all while making an incredible living. Right now is the perfect time to join the team at Town Square Media as a marketing consultant. Join one of the fastest growing digital companies in America, where you get to help build client solutions with real local influencers and sell brands like TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. If this sounds exciting to you, let's have a conversation. Our comp package is amazing with unlimited earning potential, including base salary, mobile phone, auto expense, 401k match, trip incentives, and more. If you're competitive, driven, and have the ability to communicate great ideas, we'd love to hear from you. With digital advertising expected to double over the next 3 years, the timing could not be better. Reach out to Mike Rubel, Market President, at 609-910-5249 or visit careers.townsquaremedia.com. Town Square Media is an equal opportunity employer.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig here, hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN. With you, guys. Text board 609-403-0973. In just a minute, you also can DM the show through 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. You know, it's... As you watch this season come to an end, they're like what Keith Pompey says, look, we don't expect the Sixers to win this series. We just don't expect them to get swept. And I think that's where now you're splitting hairs, because at the end of the day, you didn't accomplish your goal. And part of it was because Embiid got injured. You know, it's not Embiid's fault he got smacked in the face by an errant elbow by Siakam. And you see what's going on in the Memphis Warriors series, where guys get hurt, guys are being, thrown out of games, suspended, fined. It wasn't even that kind of action against Embiid with Siakam. It was just he happened to hit him and accidents happen. So, it's disappointing. It really is, because, a fully healthy Sixers team might have been able to go 7 with Miami, but instead it's probably going 5 or 6, and then they're out of the playoffs, and we're on to the offseason. But either way, we were on to the offseason anyway, because I think a lot of people have a lot of questions about this team. What about Harden moving forward? He's going to pick up that option to guarantee the money, or does he hit the free agent market and, roll the dice a little bit? What do they do with the rest of the roster? Morey has found creative ways to create salary cap space and open up room on this roster in the past by trading out Horford, for example. Well, what can they do moving forward? And I think that the big question is, someone asked this question yesterday. I want to bring it up again because I thought it was a good question. They said, there's a gap right now between the Sixers and some of the other teams in the Eastern Conference. The Bucks, the Celtics, and the Heat look like very deep basketball teams compared to the 76ers. And I'm assuming the Nets are going to find a way to retool their team, just like the Sixers are going to retool their team. The question is, what is actually doable versus what is not going into this offseason? The problem with the head coaching situation is you got a head coach who's under contract for the next 3 more years. Are you really willing to cut ties with him and pay him money to just go away? That's not very good business practice. Are you willing to move on for Tobias Harris? This is the guy who right now is nominated for the NBA Cares Community Award. So he's a great locker room guy. You willing to sacrifice a great locker room guy just because you need some more salary cap flexibility? What happens to the locker room after that? I have no idea. Do you give Harden a big deal, or do you convince him to opt into the player option? Does Daryl Morey have blinders on when it comes to Harden, or is he going to be reasonable? There's so many questions when it comes to this team, and I don't have all the answers. I can tell you certain solutions look more likely than others. As I said yesterday, because of your cap situation, you're not getting James Harden. Bradley Beal. You're probably not going to end up with some of the other guys who may move this offseason. Zach LaVine's potentially going to be a free agent. You don't have the cap room to go out and get him. The reason why you can re-sign Harden is because you traded for him, and you have that situation where the cap is set up. It's easier to re-sign your players and not lose under the cap compared to signing somebody else a free agency. It's just the way the money works, the way the cap system works. You're incentivized to re-sign your own guys and not bring in somebody else's. So again, so many variables go into this stuff. And I just think that for the Sixers, this is going to be a very pivotal offseason, because you have an organization that has spent the last few years trying to get past a certain point, the second round of the playoffs. And while some organizations would be like, we'd love to go second round of the playoffs every year. For the Sixers, you got Joel Embiid. That should be enough for you to get to the conference finals. You brought in Harden. Maxi's maturing into this star player. These should all be parts of growing and going further than you have. And if you can't get there with the current situation, then how do you adapt? How do you evolve? How do you get past and grow past that point? There's no easy answer to these questions, by the way. All right, let's get some of your guys' comments. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. Tom in Margate chimes says, Josh, A+ to you on the Sixers' lack of grit in second half basketball sense and stamina. By the way, I understand back surgery, Tom from Margate says. Ben had microsurgery on his back for removal of a herniated disc. Type surgery usually requires 2 to 3 weeks of rehab. That's from Tom in Margate. Salute to you, Tom in Margate. Okay. I mean, all the reports say that he should be back for, training camp next year. My question just was, as I always tell you guys, perception is reality. People see something on Twitter, they see something on Instagram, they see something on TV, and that's all they know, right? And all we know is Ben Simmons had back surgery, and the next minute it looks like he's sitting in his car and he's giving the deuces to the camera and say, hey, surgery went good. Like, what, you had surgery in your back and now you're sitting in a car? Like, it's just such a strange deal. Like, the guy is just so tone deaf when it comes to how to handle his public image. And everybody around him has done him a horrible service of doing what's best for him. I think he's got a lot of moochers and a lot of leeches in his life who are biting at his heels and trying to, rip him off all the time. It's absolutely incredible to me that there's nobody in Ben Simmons' life who calls him out. Or maybe he cut those people off. I don't know. I think Ben is an incredible waste of basketball talent at this point. And I'm not doubting the back injury is real. I'm not doubting the mental health stuff is real. But it's one thing to have a problem or an impediment or an issue in your life, and it's another thing to overcome it. And it feels like Ben Simmons is using his issues, from the mental health to the back problem to whatever else, as excuses for everything that's going on in his life, for where he is in his life. And at some point, you got to be a grown-up. You got to stop making excuses. There's tons of people in this world who go to work and do their job, and their life isn't ideal. Their family life isn't good. Their health isn't good. Their personal life is messed up. Their professional life might be complicated. There are people who work every day. They got to raise kids, single moms out there whose lives are absolute dumpster fire, but they're making the best out of every day. There's so many people who are trying to do the right thing. And you have a person like Ben Simmons who basically is an insult to every hardworking person. Tom from Margate mentioned about the Sixers and their lack of grit. Well, as a sports fandom, most sports fans want their athletes to care as much as they do. And, if you are a fan of a team like the Nets, how can you look at Ben Simmons and take him seriously? It's absolutely a mess. Again, no NBA playoffs tonight, which is strange in and of itself. Eagles rookie minicamp is this weekend. UFC 274 is this weekend. We'll get into that as well tomorrow here on 97.3 ESPN. It's a massive, massive fight card. Phillies are in action right now versus the Mets. A 4-game set. Nola versus Walker tonight. Gibson versus Scherzer tomorrow night. Eflin versus Bassett on Saturday. And Suarez versus Carrasco on Sunday. The Phillies got to come out of this weekend with a split. They got to show the Mets that they can hang. I'm not expecting them or wanting them to win every single game, but you got to go out there and show people that you got what it takes. You got to show your fan base, the division, that you can win games. And losing those 2 games away to the Rangers was very deflating. You know, this is a deflating situation in Philadelphia sports. The Flyers season was a pathetic disappointment. The Phillies, they've lost 3 in a row. Sixers have now lost 2 in a row. You know what? Maybe you need to go watch a movie or something tonight, folks. Go have a nice night. Disconnect from sports. Because you know what? Let's be realistic. Half of you don't care about the hockey playoffs till the Stanley Cup final. We'll dig deeper into the NBA playoff weekend tomorrow. Sixers game 3 tomorrow, as well as UFC 274 tomorrow on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. At Josh Hennig on Twitter is where you can give me a follow. You know, I love sports, but sometimes I'm like you guys. I get so frustrated. I just don't know what to do with these people sometimes. You know these guys, their job is to play sports, and you want them to do better. You know they can do better. You know they can be better. And it's like, come on. You want more. You expect more. And when it doesn't happen, it's deflating. But you know what? Tomorrow's an opportunity for a better and new day. Have a great night, everybody.